All right. I think we're all good to go. Hello. Welcome in, everyone. Glad you could make it to the stream. Who's in the chat right now? There is Pastel Lollipop, who is Suzami, who I do remember. Hello, welcome in. And Cupcake for Fia. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Hello, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the stream. Today, like it says on the screen in front of you, we are going to be drawing some Ghibli characters, and that's going to be, whatever Ghibli character you want. You can request who you'd like, and I will be drawing them for you all today. But we are going to be starting with Haku from Spirited Away. If I don't get the hello, Russell, welcome in. If we don't get any extra, let me turn down my mic volume. If we don't get any like extra Ghibli characters, then we'll just run down the list from the poll, and we'll do those characters one by one. But if you have any other Studio Ghibli characters you'd like to see me draw, I will gladly do them for you. But before we get to that, let's talk a bit about the studios. If you did not know, our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for our class offerings, where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are an art school too. So if you'd like to support us so we can keep making free content, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 a month, where you can get access to tons of perks like my working files, critique sessions, and a huge discount on our classes that have a limited amount of spots. So be sure to check those out before they are gone. All right. Let's see. Hello, Blood Rio. Welcome in. Welcome in, everyone, to the chat and the stream. So, again, if you'd like to request, we're still in Photoshop. I'm sorry. MediBang is still not working properly, so we're still in Photoshop for the time being. But we are going to be starting off with Haku. I've decided to give myself a challenge for this one because I want to work with thinner, more deliberate lines compared to my more sketchy kind of style. So I'm going to be doing that. Let me just pull up the reference that I need real quick, because I'm going to be doing Haku full body, so I want to... it's hard to find a good screenshot. Let's see here. What's nice is I can just hit Control-C, Control-V, and it's on here for me already. But yeah, feel free to request any other Ghibli characters you'd like to see me draw. And if I don't really get a bajillion requests, then I will just continue down the list from the poll. So I will be drawing the both versions of a Haku, so his human form plus the dragon form, because I'm pretty sure people wanted to see the dragon form. I had the human form in mind because I'm a big fan of drawing characters, but I will be drawing both, just to kind of satisfy both wants. Was never a big fan of Ghibli art. I love Ghibli. Ghibli has inspired me for years. I find that Ghibli has done so much for the art industry. And it's like, could I draw Howl? Absolutely, I could draw Howl. That was another one that was on the poll. Somebody requested that I draw Princess Mononoke, not realizing that Princess Mononoke was on the poll list. That was San, S-A-N. That's her actual name is. Maybe I should have just put Princess Mononoke, but oh well. That's what I get. There was that one Ghibli-friendly monster in Samurai Jack. I actually haven't watched Samurai Jack. A lot of people say that my face mask reminds them of Samurai Jack, but like I just wanted one with teeth. I've never actually watched Samurai Jack though, because I went to a gallery and they were like, "Oh my god, your mask! It looks like Samurai Jack." I was like, I don't know what he looks like. I've never watched Samurai Jack. I should though. People say it's really good. Hi, hello, Drew. Welcome in. There's a lot of things I should watch, to be honest, and then I just never get the chance to because I am an adult and a university student, so I have a lot of stuff to do, but that's okay. Is it slowly, like, ending me? Yeah, kinda, but that's okay. It's whatever. Yeah, I love Ghibli. Ghibli, Spirited Away especially. That's why I was like, I put Haku first on the list, because Spirited Away is like it's like a common choice, but I love Spirited Away. It is definitely like my favorite one. It's like inspired me for so long. I've watched that movie a good like Oh no. It's been over 10 times that I've watched Spirited Away. I never get tired of it. When somebody puts it on, I'm like, oh, keep that on. I'm watching that. I'm watching it with you. I don't care. If you squint really hard, Samurai Jack kind of looks like Studio Ghibli. I have to disagree with that. Samurai Jack, as much as I haven't watched it, I do know the art style very well. Samurai Jack has a very a paper cut kind of 2D style, no line work whatsoever. It's a very vectory kind of look. Great style. I love the way it looks. But very different from Ghibli's hand drawn line work kind of style. Very it's a very unique sort of anime. I find that Ghibli holds. It's definitely not like the more traditional anime style. But Ghibli has become a classic anime style, and that's like, even though it's not like what the majority of anime that you see today, right? My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer. What else can I say that's modern? Promise Neverland. All of those have very different look compared to Ghibli, but Ghibli has become its own kind of empire. So it's like you say the Studio Ghibli style, you go, oh yeah, I know what that is. So yeah, I have to disagree. I think that they're very, very different. Like, even if you squint hard, I think that they're incredibly different. Especially because Samurai Jack, I believe, is an American cartoon. So Western cartooning is very different compared to Japanese cartooning. Oh, I was making a joke and did not expect a serious answer how Ghibli differs from Samurai Jack, but I appreciate it. No worries. Sorry, I get kind of into this sort of stuff. I love, as much as I am not an animator, I love animation. I love art styles that kind of talk about that stuff. I've only ever watched Ponyo, and it was awesome. Ponyo was my very first Ghibli. So I will be drawing Howl after this, but if I don't get any other Ghibli character requests, then I will probably go. Howl was next. I believe it was a Ponyo character after that who got the third most amount of votes. So, but yeah, remember that if you want me to draw a particular Ponyo character or particular Ghibli character, let me know. I'll gladly do that. You know, I love Ghibli. I really, really do. Yeah, I'm trying to challenge myself. I want to really use a lot of, much less lines than usual. Because I tend to get very, very sketchy with my sketches, which is like, it's great, but I find that it slows me down a little bit. So I'm like, as fast as I already move, I want to get faster. It's like, I'm like, wait, it's like my constant road to get faster. I want to be able to move at the speed of light. That's my that's my goal. This is on its own layer. Yeah, it is. This I can probably just delete. Let's get rid of that. I don't need that there anymore. I find that working with much quicker, deliberate strokes allows you to get a better sense of the gesture. And it's like, as much as I love posing, I find that I spend a very long time on the anatomy. And like, sometimes you gotta let that go, especially if you're working in a more, I need to know what his shoes look like. Oh, I don't get a view of it. Let's go back to, oh, he's wearing sandals. Okay, that makes my life easier. Let's see here. More full bodies, please. Because you gotta pull up that reference, you know. It's the dragon portion's not hard, it's the actual outfit. Is it above the knees or is it like at the knees? It's a little bit below, I think. I'm thinking of his shorts, by the way, whatever, like his pants. There's never any good full bodies, bro. They are like flip-flops though, so like, or like the sandals kind of cut through the toes, so I'm gonna work with that. Feet and hands, two things that every single one of my students hates when I when I bring up. I'm like, okay, we're gonna learn how to do this, and then it's just like collective groans. It's great. I think it's hilarious. It's something you gotta learn. You gotta learn it. When I was younger, I hated it. Like, I spent a really long time learning how to draw hands, and then like I realized one day I tried to like draw sandals, like with no, like without socks or whatever, and I drew them, and I was like, wow, I don't know how to draw feet. So I spent a really long time learning how to draw feet, and I think I can do both. Get my boy MC Hammer pants, honestly. The loose kind of baggy. I feel that. Not gonna lie. It's like there should be a bend here as well. Some more clothing folds. Love that. Another thing that my students hate. Clothing folds. Could I draw Grayson in a Studio Ghibli style? That's not. I would. I totally would. But that doesn't really go along with the stream. What's it called? The stream theme. But I appreciate you requesting it. I've already done that actually. I did that for a class once. Because it was like, it's the style challenge, which is actually coming up. We do have an art style challenge coming up. But yeah, I appreciate it, but not for this one. It's so strange to see people request actual OCs of mine. It's like, oh, you know them? You know my characters? Okay, I guess. Are these more like traditional? Oh no, you know what? They probably are these. I just haven't been able to see them properly. Oogly boogly. Yeah, trying to use less lines, trying to focus more on the overall kind of shape. I'm trying to become less reliant on diagram lines. I find that I am extremely reliant on them, and there's nothing wrong with that. For me, like, I want to try to get to that point where I can draw a full figure, no hesitation, without diagram lines, really. So I'm trying to really hone in on that. You should do Princess Mononoke, son? Yeah, I can do that for sure. Thank you for the request, Pex. So after this, it's gonna be Howl, and then I can do Princess Mononoke or San. Two that were on the poll. Yes, yes, yes. I love Princess Mononoke. I've watched that one a good like 5 times. I've watched so many Ghibli movies more than once. It's the only franchise, one of the only franchises where I will sit through an entire movie more than once of my own volition. Like, I will sit there. It's like, oh, I need to rewatch a Ghibli movie to get more inspiration. Got you, and I'll do it like 100%. Wait till people request their own OCs. Do not steal. I love OCs. I love it when people introduce me to their OCs. I've gotten to the point as like an artist where like I get far more excited when people talk about or introduce their own characters compared to like seeing fan art. I love OCs. Like, I love hearing about them. I love people like getting excited about talking about their own characters. It's a different energy, you know? I love that energy. It's just something so fun about watching artists talk about what they create. Young or old, you know? Like, it doesn't matter how sophisticated the character is. I love people just talking about their work. I think that's like, it's so interesting to me. It's so fun. Nope, let's save this file. That's a good idea. This is stream number 32. Ooh, high number. Again, working with a rough brush because I like how fast I work with it. As much as I love my super, super clean lines, I work quite slow when I do really quick, clean lines, in my opinion. So working with this rough brush gives me like a place to kind of stand on and go like, oh yeah, it's rough first, so like my eyes aren't so concerned with the cleanliness as much. It gives it a bit of extra life, I think, as well. It gives it a different life. I say that a lot. Like, you give your artwork a different life, and that's just like a way. That's kind of a pretentious way of saying like it's a different style. It gives it a different energy, if that makes sense. It's like you kind of compare. I'm trying to think of historical artists. If you kind of compare, oh wait, sorry, I saw something in the chat earlier. As much as I like modern anime art, less stylized anime like Ghibli is very visually appealing. Yes, I always find that I really love Japanese artwork that's like slightly leans on the more realistic side. As much as I am a very cartoony person. I love cartoons, clearly. I'm more of a cartoonist. I love comics. I love all that fun stuff. I always gravitate towards anime and manga that is slightly less stylized. I don't know why. Like, I can't. Well, Junji Ito's actually a good example. I love what Junji Ito does. It's like, you know, horror, very intense horror. There's another artist that I can't really name. A, because I always forget their name. B, just because you know, not too family friendly. But I love their style as well, just because it leans more on the realistic side of Japanese cartooning, which I really, really love. It gives it a different life, a different energy, which I really love. But yeah, Junji Ito's a good example of that. Just see you're about to open the biggest can of worms by saying you love when people share their OCs. Sonic community started rubbing its hands together. You started saying that. Here's the thing, right? As I've gotten older, nothing is really cringe to me anymore. It's like I think as I've become an older artist, as I've become a teacher, right, as I've been teaching more. When I was younger, I find that I was like, "Ooh, everything's so cringe. Like you can't make the character like this, right? It must be so mature." And whatever, man. Do what you want. It's like it's so much more fun. I saw one meme that was like, "I may be cringe, but I'm free." That's so true, right? I wish I was like not concerned about stuff like making characters cringe and whatnot, right? It's freedom. It really is. It's like the more unhinged a character is, the more fun it is, right? I teach character design. I tell them what not to do. I tell them not to do like Mary Sue's, and you shouldn't do this and whatever, right? And there are a lot of shouldn'ts, especially if you're going into the more professional side of stuff. But if you're just doing it for yourself, whatever, man. Who cares? I'm on the side of like whatever, It's so be it. I don't know a lot of anime, so I'm not gonna request a lot. That's okay. Ghibli is a very, I find that Ghibli is kind of niche within artists stuff, right? If you haven't watched a Ghibli movie, highly recommend it, by the way. But yeah, I'm not really here to judge for cringe. I'm not really here to judge for all that fun stuff, right? I'm here when I say that I enjoy it when people talk about OCs. I love it when their eyes light up, right? When they start talking about it, it's like, oh, you want to hear about it? Yeah, let me tell you. It's the best. It's how I've met some of my new university friends, right? It's like they talk about the writing that they love. They talk about the games that they love, right? It's like, it's better to find the positivity within other artists than to constantly try and take them down. Discouraging certain stuff, right? It makes like, it kind of kills the spirit, it's saying that stuff is cringe all the time, saying it's, it makes you a more bitter person. I think I'm pretty bitter. I find that I'm quite cold. I try to put on a front of like being nice, but I'm like, I tend to be pretty cold, but like with art, it's like whatever, man, do what you want. I've become so tolerant. I've been seeing so many cringe OCs be like videos lately. Yeah, for sure. True, people take the time of their day to tell others how they should do their art. Like, it's not their own style, their art. Mind your own business. So true. Sometimes I find that there's like, there are basics to art, right? That is considered like what you should do, what you shouldn't do, right? I'm never the one who's gonna go like, oh, this is wrong, this is right. It depends on what direction you want to take your art in. Right? That's why art is so subjective. It really is. Like, some person in here said, some people are like, oh, I love Ghibli. Other people in here are like, Ghibli's not my favorite. That's okay. Art is subjective. Like I say, almost every single stream where anime pops up, I hate the JoJo style. I really do. And I know a lot of people love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Another thing that I bring up sometimes too, I don't like the Promised Neverland's art style. I don't. Right? That's subjective though. If you love it, don't let me tell you what to do. Right? It's all about what you like. It's all about what you prefer. Right? And, art is the same. If you think something's cringe, somebody else probably doesn't. And you know what? It's not your place to bring them down. I used to like that. Where can you even watch Ghibli movies anymore? It makes me so sad to not be able to watch them all again. Actually, Netflix uploaded like the entire Ghibli library. That's where I watch mine. Sometimes, other times, I just try to find a place. Like, I think you can actually get them on YouTube. Like you can actually rent them on YouTube. The thing is that if you rent them on YouTube, you're from an English-speaking country, it will be an English dub. But I've actually found that English dubs of Ghibli movies are actually very good. Like I'm not a big dub person. It's fine if you like dub, but I'm not a very big dub person. I found that the one for Howl's Moving Castle, very good. That dub was really good. I feel like it's half of it was because the people who voiced Calcifer, whereas the person who voiced Calcifer was really good. The person who voiced Markle was also really good. That was the guy who played PETA. I don't remember, like from the Hunger Games. I don't remember his name. Josh Hutcherson. When he was a kid, he played that kid, and it was like, you know what? Really good actor, even as a kid. I was like, yeah, this is a good dub. But yeah, lots of places to find Ghibli. I will not tell you the other ways that I've done it because that incriminates me. But the feel when you can't get over your own bitterness. I never used to either. You'll get older. It's interesting though, where there's a line between saying something is bad and saying it's an art style. South Park is really simple and not to everyone's taste, but it's definitely not bad. Absolutely, South Park is definitely a very different art style. There are some like adult cartoons are a very big point of contention for a lot of artists because some of them really hate adult cartoons art styles, but some people are like, don't focus on the art style, focus on the writing. And half of that I agree, right? Like for me, I don't like I'm not a huge fan of South Park either. I think that the style is like okay. It's not my cup of tea though. Again, don't listen to me if you really like South Park. Um I'm not a really big fan of the writing either. Maybe that's just because I get offended easily, I don't know. But you know, yeah, adult cartoons, big points of contention for a lot of people. Some of them are like really, really good. Some of them are like really not okay, are really not epic for a lot of artists. They're like, wow, I hate this art style. A really big example that caused a lot of heat within the animation community for a while was Big Mouth. That one a lot of people really hated for a really long time. I think some people found out that the writing was actually pretty good, so they stayed with it. I've never watched it. I can't attest to any of that. Um, but yeah, adult cartoons, big point of heat for a lot of artists. But yeah, definitely not for everyone. Some art styles, it's like you can say that it's wrong. Other art styles, right, you can say that it's like not good. I think the only time where I will be like, I will completely agree with making fun of the person is if they're like if they're like, how do I put this? It's kind of, where they're really, really full of themselves about it, right? It's like, if they kind of do it and refuse to listen to critique, I don't think anybody's above critique, right? Myself included, right? And it gets annoying um, when they don't allow themselves to be open to critique. That's when I go like, oh yeah, you can make fun of them. I think that's funny. don't, don't. But yeah, no, that's a whole different can of worms. Christian Bale voiced Howl. That makes sense, actually. Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle Dub is awesome. It really is. What I want is for adult cartoons to have more variation art style. That's super true, actually. I can 100% agree with that. The reason why they're all very similar is because it's a very fast style to work with. Why a lot of adult cartoons are very, very similar. It's because it's a very fast style to work in, especially for South Park, which is puppet animation. If you don't know what puppet animation is, it's not necessarily like you have hand puppets or whatever, right? It's more like they have a bunch of assets that they can just move back and forth. It's not in like Flash. It's a very it's not easy, but it's a simple way of getting animations done very fast, faster than stuff like Ghibli, which is all hand done, right? A lot quicker. But the reason why is because it's like that. Here's another point of contention. Vivzy Pop was a really good example of adult cartoons that took it to another sort of level, like very, very professional animators really working with really crazy arts, like really crazy animation. But some people were like, the writing is just, it's so shallow. It's like, why would you write it like that? It's because, sometimes writing doesn't have to be anything deep. I love deep writing, but like sometimes you just want to have fun, right? It's an adult cartoon. Some people find this stuff funny. Some people find this stuff, whatever, right? Adult cartoons, big point of contention. Studio Ghibli's not Netflix in America? That sucks. Sorry, I can't help you there. Canadian Netflix has every single one of the Ghibli movies. I watched, what did I watch on the way to Ottawa? I watched Pompoko and I watched Nausicaa. I always try to watch two new Ghibli movies whenever I go on road trips. So I watched Pompoko and Nausicaa. I watched Nausicaa on the way there, Pompoko on the way back. Both are very environmentally, environmental have influenced, and both of them almost made me cry. Really good movies. Jessie making fun of people. Let me make my notes, Teach. Best way to watch Vivzy Pop is to mute it, focus on the animation, make the story up from what you see. I quite like Vivzy Pop. I actually do like the what she came out with. Even like before the whole before she like really blew up with the current stuff that she watched that she makes. I'd seen her old animations as well. I was a really big fan of them. Vivzy is definitely an adult cartoon kind of person, though. So if you're not an adult, I don't understand. Oh no, I'm late. Don't worry, you're actually not that late. I'm actually spending a lot of time on this one. I really shouldn't. We've got about 3 requests lined up. If you have any other requests for Ghibli characters, feel free to drop them in. What app am I using? This is Photoshop because MediBang is still not working. Haha. Yeah, sorry guys. It's another week in Photoshop. We're still on that field trip. Because MediBang is not cooperating at all, and I'm at the verge of sending an email to complain or something. I don't know. You actually write the writing in. Yeah. I've actually never watched that first one. I really should. I keep forgetting to. And it just pops up and when a new episode comes out, and I'm like, oh, I should watch that. And then I go back to doing schoolwork. It's like, I really should. At some point I will. But yes, hello, welcome in, Amaris. You're not that late. Don't worry. We just started. We're only about 20 minutes in. Which I should not have spent this long on this illustration, but I am talking a lot, so that probably has distracted me a little bit. But that's okay. That's okay. That's what we're here on a stream for. Distract me. Do whatever you want. It's fine. We're talking about art styles. Unleash the inner Karen. Let your wording in that letter be as strong as your spirit. Nah, I'm not aggressive enough to be like that. I'll just ask questions because I like knowing me. Like my brain is probably my brain. It's like it doesn't matter if it's the program's fault or mine. I'll somehow think it's my fault. To be honest, like I've heard that other people have the same issues, but I'm like, it's probably my fault. I probably did something dumb. Okay, we're almost there for this one. I've had to draw a lot of objects recently for school, and it's like, whoa, dude. Haven't done basic shapes like this since I was like 16, dude. I'm like, I sit there and I'm like, whoa, bro. Alright, back to the basics it is. Can I color this? You know what? Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna leave it black and white. Especially because Mononoke is coming up and Sana's coming up and she's difficult, so we might actually only be able to do those 3 that I got requested. Ghibli characters are great, but they're not always easy, so Howl especially, I'm gonna have to deal with his outfit. No, you know, I might do the end of movie Howl, you know, with the dark hair and the white blouse. That's a good outfit. That was a good outfit on him. Not gonna lie. I love Howl's Moving Castle. I've seen that movie a lot as well. In order of how many times I've seen them all, Spirited Away is first, then I think it's Howl's Moving Castle, then I've seen Ponyo, Princess Mononoke. Yeah, Ponyo and Princess Mononoke I've watched the same amount of times. And then it's Arrietty. Oh man. And then everything else after that I've watched only once. So that's Kiki's Delivery Service, Totoro, Grave of the Fireflies, Pompoko, Porco Rosso, Nausicaa. I've watched a lot of Ghibli movies. Oh, The Cat Returns. That's another one I've watched. Yeah, I've watched a lot of Ghibli movies. I love Ghibli. I really, really do. It has an energy. It has a spirit. It's like it's something like it whisks you away. It really does. It's like you kind of sit there and you're like, whoa. It's like let yourself be taken away by Ghibli, you know? I've been talking a lot. How about y'all? Any one of y'all have any favorite Ghiblis? I'll see if I've watched them. I probably have. Tell me if y'all have a favorite Ghibli. If you got a favorite Ghibli movie. Tell me why. Tell me why. Like, I love Spirited Away just because of, like, A, how gorgeous it is. B, I'm just a really, really big fan of the creature design. I'm a really big creature design person. I love creature design. Grave of the Fireflies was super sad. It made me cry. Or it was very close to making me cry. I was like, it ended and I was like, yo, what? I got so sad. I was so bummed out for the rest of that day. The Cat Returns is just marketing for Garfield getting out of hand. It's actually not similar at all to Garfield. I don't know. Cat Returns was really, really good. It's like, it definitely wasn't my favorite Ghibli. Saying that it wasn't my favorite Ghibli is not saying a lot, by the way, because I love every single Ghibli that I've watched. But it wasn't my favorite just because it didn't immerse me as much as others. But The Cat Returns is still really, really cute. It's this girl, and she gets whisked away to this land of cats. It was really good. Yeah, tell me if y'all have a favorite Ghibli. Yeah, I just love the creature design in Spirited Away. That water spirit ended me. I love the water spirit so much. The water spirit, the little ducklings. He has a name. Oturi-san? I think that's what it is. I love that duckling. Those ducklings. That's a good time. Okay, well, what was next? It was Howl. Yeah. Howl. From Howl's Moving Castle. But I want to do Howl at the end. Oh, fantastic. That's the only one that shows up. That's like the majority of what shows up is like this ending. Howl. I know there's full bodies of him out there. There has to be. Because I know that there's a whole scene with it. Bro. I mean, I know what it looks like. So I don't 100% have to look for the full body. Because I know what the outfit looks like. I've drawn it a couple times already. I really just need a closer look at his face, to be honest. This'll do. I'll work with this. Definitely not listening to the Howl's Moving Castle soundtrack right now. Just to get me in the spirit. Yes. You haven't seen one? You should. Closest I've come to Ghibli is that Samurai Jack episode. You honestly should. Like, it's like a rite of passage for an artist to watch a Studio Ghibli movie. It's gorgeous. so similar. Studio Ghibli is like, it really is for the fun-loving people, right? I watched my first Ghibli when I was, oh no, when did I see Ponyo? Ponyo came out in 2002. I watched it a couple years later. I think I watched it when I was 6 or 7, so I didn't 100% appreciate it for what it was. I watched my next Ghibli, which was The Secret World of Arietti, which came out when I was in 5th grade. So around 2010-ish, 2011. And that one was like, I watched it. I just thought it was really cute. I was like, oh, this is such a cute movie. I really loved it. But definitely, when I got older, I watched Spirited Away, which I watched before Totoro. Totoro was my second one. Totoro was my 4th. Spirited Away was my 3rd. I watched Spirited Away and I was like in love. I instantly fell in love. And ever since then, it's like I will watch a Ghibli movie. Ghibli movies have become my failsafe. If I am ever like in need of motivation, or if I'm in need of inspiration, I'll watch a Ghibli. And it perks me up right back up. I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. And I'm just instantly start drawing. I have never experienced anything that has given me the same amount of inspiration as a Ghibli. And it's like, it's because it's so magical. It's so like, there's so much with a Ghibli. It's like, it doesn't waste any time, right? Everyone treats every situation really casually. It's like, you want to get to the story? Yeah, don't worry, it'll take like 2 seconds and we'll get to the main plot. Because, you know, every movie it starts with exposition, you gotta kind of know what's happening, right? No, Ghibli tosses you into the water. Goes like, oh, no, we're just doing, go in, right now. And it's like, I think I timed it with Mononoke. It took like 3 seconds for it to get to like the main, like it took like 2 minutes for it to get to the main plot. You don't know any of the characters. You just kind of jump in. You're like, oh, okay, guess we're traveling to a faraway land now. It's fantastic. I cannot advocate to watch a Ghibli movie more. My boy Howl is very androgynous, ain't he? Absolutely. That's why everybody loves Howl. He's a big crybaby, but man, he's got the look. I'm not gonna lie. Powerful wizard, man. I love how circular everything is drawn in Ghibli movies. If that makes sense, the style is so super cute and bubbly. Absolutely, it's a very rounded style. It has a lot of anime is seen as being very sharp. It has a lot of sharper edges, a lot of like very like precise, harsh edges. Ghibli is kind of the opposite of that. Ghibli has a lot of roundness. It's very very whimsical. 100% agree. Yeah, it's why it kind of sets it apart, which is what I really like as well. I also love that as cringe as this might be, a lot of Ghibli movies really empower women as well. I really love that, even for like the era that they were made in. Right, one within an interview, I remember Miyazaki had said like, we have a lot of female protagonists. None of them need a hero. They just might need a little bit of. None of them are a damsel. They just might need a little bit of help, but they can hold their own just fine, even if nobody's there to help them. Right, and I think that's cool. I think that's really good. Yeah, even for like the time that they were released, like some of Ghibli's were released in like the 80s, 70s. I think I watched one that was released in the 60s. Even that one, it's like you have this woman who's like the main protagonist. She's like super strong. Like she's very bubbly, she's very nice, kind, right? But she can hold out her own just fine. Actually, it's quite often that it's the woman saving the man. I think I like that a lot. Maybe that's just me being a girl who kind of likes that kind of stuff. Super comforting, magical. Hello, Angie. Welcome in. That's why I can't watch Ghibli. I'm not a fun-loving person. I'm a bitter person that makes fun of cringe OCs. You'll grow out of it. You'll grow out of it. You'll find that being bitter gets so exhausting. It's just like, yeah. I think I was like that when I was 15, maybe. And then I did get older, and I was like, it's like, now I think that like that's like yeah. I just get bored of it. I got bored of it. And it's like, it becomes so exhausting. It gets exhausting to be angry all the time. It gets exhausting to, be bitter all the time. That kind of jazz. You get so tired of it. And then it just becomes like, you're like, why did I waste so much time? I wasted so much time letting other things live in my head rent free. You know? I'm living the Keanu Reeves philosophy, right? It's like I've gotten to the point where like I just avoid it so much where it's like somebody could tell me that like 1 plus 1 equals 5 and I'd be like, yeah, that's right. I've reached that point. I think I have. And Samurai Jack's friend's wife was arguably stronger than him. Yeah, possibly. Like, you seem to really, really like Samurai Jack, right? I know some people would think that that's super cringy. Right? They're going, oh, you like Samurai Jack? Why? One person's love is somebody else's cringe. And once you kind of realize that, nothing feels cringy anymore. Because then it's just like, oh, well, I mean, I love this, and that might be cringe to somebody else, so, like, why would I bother? You know? Like, if I was still kind of 15, if I was still kind of in my 15-year-old sort of age range, I'd probably think that JoJo was pretty cringe, and I'd make fun of people who like that, you know? But at the same time, I liked Blue Exorcist, and I liked, oh my god, what's it called? I liked a lot of anime when I was younger. I was a very big anime person. I'm like not super into anime anymore. I will watch it. I'm just like not a huge like weeb anymore. I was a really big like weeb when I was younger, but like now I'm like, I'll watch it. I don't hate it, but it's like it's not first on my list, you know. In terms of like what my inspirations are. Oh, that fun jazz. Last time was amazing, Jessie. Thank you. Just a little more little doodlies. Remember that requests are still open. If I do end up finishing Howl and San, then if you want to request more people, feel free to, even if you've already requested somebody. I know my boy Howl can make a pretty sweet JoJo pose. Look pretty cool. I don't know. Oh yeah, you want a good example of cringe? I think that JoJo poses are cringe. Sorry. That's a joke. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. Do whatever you want. I'm not your mom. He was very flamboyant. Howl was a very flamboyant character. It was like he really was like he had a very harsh sense of insecurity. Sophie, who was the main girl of the movie, was like, God, you're such a baby throughout the whole time. It was a really, really good movie. I really loved. It took maybe like 3 or 4 watches until I like finally like 100% understood what was going on. Sometimes it would get a little bit confusing. And then I'd watch it again. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, because you can't want to always watch a Ghibli movie just once and then get it. That's what a lot of people say. Sometimes it's like Ghibli movies are so confusing. It's because you can't watch it once. You have to watch it a good 2 to 3 times sometimes. Ghibli I had to watch a good 2 to 3 times. Howl's Moving Castle I had to watch 2 to 3 times. Spirited Away I think I watched like once and I got it, and then I watched it another like bajillion times. I was like, oh, now I get it. Right? Great stuff. Great stuff. That shirt though, because I'm drawing him from behind, it's gonna be a bit different. It's okay. I've set that up myself. He got them puffy sleeves. Yeah, they're up like his elbows. This one has Markle in the background. Yeah, so good. I love this movie. JoJo. I find that, yeah. No, you know what? JoJo, okay. You can love whatever you like. Again, don't let my opinions ruin yours, right? You like JoJo? Go for it. All yours, right? I have a lot of friends who love JoJo, right? I can't get over that art style. I really hate it. Like, I don't like it at all. It's like, I kind of look at it and I'm like, right? It feels like it's trying too hard. I feel like that's what my first instinct is whenever I look at it. And I'm like, I just can't, you know? But again, it's to each their own. Do not let my opinions ruin yours. Right? All up to you. All up to you. Because people also tell me, like, you gotta... It's like, yeah. The first, like, 3 seasons sucks. But then you get to, like, the 4th one and it's great. I'm like, why would I sit through 3 seasons that suck until I get to the 4th one? Why would I do that to myself? Right? It's like, why would I do that? Like, I feel like that's not a good trade-off. I don't want to sit through that. Swift as a coursing river, the force of a great typhoon. I have not watched. Oh, I shouldn't have sang that. Oh, whoopsies. Don't copy strike me. Oh man, I haven't watched Mulan. I haven't watched any classic Disney movie in such a long time. I haven't watched a lot of classic Disney movies, actually. I was never a Disney kid. I never watched Disney. Growing up, I really liked Transformers and My Little Pony. That's what I really loved. I love Transformers, Nintendo, My Little Pony, My Littlest Pet Shop. I really loved Yoshi's Island. I was really into Yoshi's Island. I love Kirby, still do. Yo, the Nintendo Direct yesterday had me so hyped. I was like, are you kidding me? Another, like, a new Kirby game? That's good news. That's good news. I was so hyped when Kirby showed up. My best friend was like, she texted me, she's like, hey, new Kirby game. I was like, what do you mean? Because I was gonna like skimp out on this Direct, but I'm so glad I didn't. And then they revealed the new Bayo game, and I was like, let's go. That's what I like to see. Yeah. I do have to exaggerate his legs because that's kind of what his character looks like. Oh, I made that neck too long. Lol. Let's shrink that a little bit. His head too. It's a little large. That's okay. It's the power of digital work. Just change it. My Little Pony and JoJo definitely have very different art styles. Yeah, when I was 6, I didn't really care about art styles, but yeah. Yeah, Howl's Moving Howl's character arc makes him learn how to protect the people he loves. It's true. Howl is a great character arc. He becomes like a more well-rounded person because his family starts to become more important than his image and who he cares about, which is usually himself. And he kind of realizes his own hubris, you know. Hope he slays a big monster. He is the big monster. Oh, is that a spoiler? No, this movie came out years ago. Over 2 decades ago. That's not a spoiler. Howl is a big monster. That's the cool part. Have I seen Shang-Chi? I have not. I know I need to. And everybody tells me I need to, and I really want to, and I keep on forgetting to. That's another thing that everyone around me is really into that I'm not really into. It's like Marvel, DC, that kind of jazz. I think it's great. I think it's fun, but like I'm not really huge into it. Maybe it's just the fandom scares me. I don't know. They're a little bit scary. He's the big monster. Yeah, he is. He do be the big monster. Which I guess he kind of... Hello, Gigi. Welcome in. Daria, I guess you could argue that, like, I guess he did kind of save everyone from himself, in a sense. If you kind of think about it. How many times have you watched Howl's Moving Castle? I guess that kind of... that is another layer of thinking about it. Ghibli movies are great for overthinking. I guess you could say in a weird sense that he did kind of save everyone from himself. Which is like a fun way to kind of look at it. I may have done this head angle a little wonky, but so be it. You watch it like 3 nights in a row once? That's respectable. I vibe with that. I remember my the night that I was working on my portfolio, like for like a good 5 nights in a row, I watched or not 5 nights, like 3 nights. About 3 nights in a row, I watched Ghibli movies back to back. So I'd watch 2 Ghibli movies back to back. One night it was Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo. No. Yeah, no, that's right. Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo. Then it was Castle in the Sky and Arrietty. And then Spirited Away and Porco Rosso. I think that's what I did. I watched those 6 back to back every single night. I was like, it perked me up every single time. I'm like, cool, I'm ready to draw again. And I continue to finish my sketchbook. Portfolios. I got in, so whatever, but you know, don't do that. Big monsters are rarely nice. You know what? I love it when big monsters are like... I love it when they're written more as like the good guys. I love big monsters. I find that it gets boring to always have them as just the... He wasn't mean, actually. He was just a little bit self-absorbed, that was all. He was kind of selfish, but like, he wasn't like mean. He was just a bit of a baby. Shrek was awesome. When will Shrek 5 come out? That's the big ticket, you know. Better be a 5th one. I haven't watched... I barely remember any of them, honestly. I maybe remember some of the first one. And then that's about it. I don't... I actually haven't watched a Shrek movie in so long. I remember little bits and pieces, but they all kind of like merge together. I can't tell which one's the first one. I can't tell which one's the 4th one. It's like they all kind of became a big blur over time. And then it all became a meme when what was it? The MLG meme era. That was 2014-ish, I think. That's when it all came crashing down. That was a weird era for memes, not gonna lie. It was so easy to be like funny because nothing was funny. It still isn't funny, but it was easier then. Nice Big Monster is an example of ironic character design. That's the truth. That is ironic character design. Glad you're listening. 450? Okay, not bad. Sendo might take me a while. But yeah, feel free to request. Continue to request if you've got anybody you want me to do. Dari, you can request as well if you want me to. If you want to. Never forget your what's it called? Your clothing folds. Your clothing folds are kind of what bring your outfits back to life. Okay. Oops. I've learned over the course of the past few days that like I really, really enjoy. Like I already knew this, but I really enjoy anatomy. Like I really like. I've been drawing a lot of like figure poses, like a lot of posing, and I've been like a lot more difficult posing. I'm like, man, this is fun. It kind of brought a spark back, and I was like, oh, now I'm having fun again. You know, sometimes you just kind of draw for the sake of drawing. I find that I do that a lot. It's like I don't really draw for enjoyment, but more so it's just kind of what I know how to do, and like I just end up doing it. But like for the past few days, I've been kind of challenging myself a little bit more. I've been doing some more difficult poses, focusing on harsher anatomy. And I was like, man, this is fun. This is fun. It's great to get that kind of feeling back, you know. Because as you get older, you become more of an artist who kind of draws a little bit more professionally, does it a little bit more often, right? In a more professional setting, you kind of sit there and you're like, man, you're kind of just doing it because it's muscle memory. It's no longer. When I was younger, I always hated hearing artists say that. It's like, I don't really do art from enjoyment anymore. I do it because it's a job, or I do it because it's necessity, right? And I feel like I kind of felt in denial about that for a really long time. I was like, oh, well, I'll never stop loving art. And it's true, I haven't stopped loving art, but I find that, like, yeah, I've started to draw for necessity too. You know? And sometimes it does just feel like a job. It doesn't really feel like something I love. But when you kind of get that back, it's like, man, feels like a rush. It feels so good. It's like you kind of get back into it. I love Ponyo's dad's outfit. I could do him. Yeah, he won't take long. I'll do San pretty quickly then. I love Ponyo's dad as well. He's a fun character. One of my favorite friendly monsters is Sully from Monsters Inc. Good choice, good choice. Another movie that I haven't seen in ages. When I was actually, it was a running joke in my family. Because my family always says that I look like Boo from Monsters Inc. when I was a kid. I want to say like maybe I was like 5-ish, 6-ish. Right? My family always says that I look like Boo. It's because I had like the same straight cut bangs and pigtails. So like when I was like a really young kid, my whole family was like, "Oh, you look like Boo." For a little while, that was my nickname. They called me Boo because I looked like her. Okay, can I do these legs in like 3 strokes? Probably can, but it's gonna take a bit of finessing. Sheesh. All right. Oh, Mandela effect. Mandela? Mandela. I was so confused. I was reading that and I was like, You meant the Mandela effect. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of Mandela effect things. I've never. I know that a lot of people got really interested with Mandela effects. I think it's interesting, but I was never the kind of person who was like, ooh, Mandela effects. Which, like, because some people are like, it proves alternate realities are happening around us constantly. I'm like, I mean, it could be the truth. I'm not going to discount anything, but, like, I'm not one to obsess over it. But yeah, interesting. One Mandela effect that I saw a lot was that people thought that Curious George had a tail. Was one of them. Another one was like Berenstain Bears instead of Berenstain Bears. That's another one. I always thought it was Berenstain Bears, and then I reread the title. It's like, oh, it is Berenstain. It's with an A. It's like, oh, how strange. There's a good horror story I read actually with the Mandela effect. Or I didn't read it. Sorry, I listened to it. I like to listen to audio horror stories. It was called this one's actually like perfectly fine. It's family friendly, so you could listen to it. It's more of like an existential kind of horror. It was called The Girl That Time Forgot. That was a good one. It was kind of like that one was a little bit more sad actually. It wasn't really scary. It was a little bit more sad. But yeah, The Girl That Time Forgot. That's a really good one. It's a little more existential, a little more artsy. So if you're more into the kind of slasher kind of horror, then like you probably won't like it. Or the jump scary, ooga booga scary kind of horror, then you probably won't like this one. But I really like this one. It's more experimental. Yeah, listen to it. It's a good one. It's the only time I can recommend a horror story to you. All my other favorites are not for you guys. Okay. Howl. Mandela, yeah. I remember Mirror too. Yeah, me too. The Mandela effect gives conspiracy theorists fever dreams. I don't know, man. Conspiracy. You know what? That's a can of worms. I'm not going to open it. I am choosing to not talk about that one. We're almost done with Howl, though. So once we get to him, then I can do Sen, and then I can do Ponyo's dad. Which I then think will take us to the end of the stream. I was moving a little bit slower this time, I guess, because now I'm working with different lines. Maybe I'm also a little bit sleepy. I have been doing a lot of assignments today. So apologies. Though I have been feverishly talking a lot today as well, so thank you for the good conversation. Okay. True, the scene in Howl's Moving Castle when Sophie wakes up in the middle of the night, sees Howl in the tunnel, feels like a fever dream. That's so super true. 100% agree. I love that scene, but yeah, it definitely felt like when I first watched it, I was like, whoa, bro. I had to watch it a good, like, couple times. Howl's Moving Castle is just a masterpiece. It really is. It's so good. I remember trying to show Spirited Away to my cousins. Like, they're not artists, and they're not really into more artsy stuff. So, like, they kind of watched it, and they were all really confused. And then we moved on to watch this movie that was, like, super dubbed, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was, like, it made me lose brain cells. That's all I remember. I was like, I kind of watched, like, I watched maybe 10 minutes of it. I think I physically lost brain cells watching it. Not to be rude to my 6-year-old cousin, but, you know. Looks cool. Thank you. Is Princess Mononoke on the list? She is next. Yep. Princess Mononoke or San. She was on the poll. But I feel like people don't actually know her real name, so I was like, maybe I should have just put Princess Mononoke. But everyone knows Haku, so I drew him as well. Oh, I should have done... Hang on. This just makes it a smidge easier just to color this section in. So I don't have to follow the exact curve of his legs quite as much. It's just a little easier this way. This is just a selection trick it's mostly Photoshop users that use this one. Sometimes Clip Studio users use this one too, but not as often. It's just using the magic wand, inversing it, makes it a little bit easier. Good choice, stay away. There's a Mandela thing right now about Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas where people are saying his nose is red, but it shows his nose orange now, like a jack-o'-lantern. No way! Hang on, I remember it as red. Yo, what? Angry. It is a pumpkin. You know what? That makes more sense. Because it's like a pumpkin. Bro, I've been bamboozled. What? Ayo Kwa? I hate that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now I'm angry. That's a joke. I'm not angry. Bro, my whole worldview has changed. What? I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. Bruh, angry. Orange is jack-o'-lantern. Yeah. I tried reading the synopsis for Howl's Moving Castle and gave up a paragraph in. Not strong-willed enough, I see. That's a joke. I'm joking. It is pretty confusing. You have to make sure that you're reading the plot for the movie and not the book. Because there's a book as well that it's based on. People say that they like the book more than the movie. Which, because it's a little bit, has a stronger plot line. And I'm like, I believe you, but I will stick to watching the movie. Before we move on, though, let's talk a bit about the studios. If you didn't know, we are not just a YouTube channel, but we're also an art studio. So if you'd like to check out the classes that we offer, then be sure to check out them out on our website, which is where you can get feedback and proper advice from your instructors, one of them being me. And then we have a few other instructors available on the lineup. If you want this file as a JPEG, which you can download, keep, save, do whatever you want with, you're going to have to join the Discord. That's where I'll be uploading, or I upload all the JPEGs after streams, which you can take and keep and do whatever you want with. Just do not re-upload them. However, if you'd like my working files with all of their layers, you're going to have to join our Patreon for as little as $5 a month. There you can get all of my working files. $2 a month gets you behind-the-scenes content, but if you want those working files, that's going to be $5. All right. Let's get back into it. That's Princess Mononoke that's next. Yes, yes. From the one paragraph, all I'm going to say is I hope they freed my boy Calcifer. Yeah, they did, don't worry. I love Calcifer so much. He's such a good character. Princess Mononoke. Let's find a good image of her. Should I draw her with the mask or without? I'll do without the mask, but I need to find a good full body without the mask. She has a lot of, like, running scenes. How can I not find a good one? What's happening here? Oh! That kind of works. You know what? This is, like, the end of the movie. Bro. That's okay. That worked. She's kind of sitting, but I can see her, so that's what matters. Princess Mononoke was a really good movie. I find that a lot of people, when they kind of first watch it, they're like, oh, geez. What? Here's my selling point for Princess Mononoke. Right, is a lot of people, when you think of environmental movies, right, you kind of think of like, oh, it's like they're gonna preach about like how we're killing the earth and like we can't, it's like we have to let the plants take over and whatever. What's great about Princess Mononoke is it preaches it more like, why do we have to choose between one, and why can't we just learn to live in harmony with nature? Why can't we learn to respect it while also acknowledging our own needs? Which I think is fantastic. I think that's a really, really good way of looking at it. Right? It's like we are destroying the planet, and that's just because we're not being careful. It's like, why can't we just live in harmony, right? I think that's really great. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I also love that Sans her introduction was like she immediately like points a knife at the guy's, like the main guy's throat. I think that's a great introduction. Because she doesn't trust him. She's such a strong character. I really love her. The Wolf Princess. She's so cool. I wish I was her. Bambi told the environmental nature story very well. Never watched Bambi. Again, never a Disney person. But yeah, no, I love the idea that we need to coexist with nature rather than outright, get rid of ourselves. I think that's a really good kind of way to look at it. Honestly, Calcifer is the reason I got into Ghibli. Lol, Howl's Moving Castle was the first Ghibli movie I'd ever seen. Yeah, for sure. The two Ghibli, my first Ghibli movie didn't 100% sell me on Ghibli, right? I was a kid, I didn't care. Right, second one, I was still kind of a kid, I still didn't really care, right? But it was a good movie, I still liked it a lot. It was Spirited Away that really sold me. I was like, okay, now I'm in. It's like, all right, now I get you. I get what the hype is about. And I was like, I was obsessed ever since. First time watching Spirited Away, I have never had like such a rush of inspiration. I was like, yo, I drew for like I couldn't stop. I drew for like 4 days straight, just like designing new things, coming up with new ideas. Such a good rush. It was such a good time. Sorry, I'm really into the swept back hair today. I don't really know what's happening. I'm just kind of like having that movement with the hair. It gives it a little bit of extra. It gives movement. It gives it life. You always want to look for life within your drawings. Because I love action. I love action within my poses. Yeah, Calcifer was a really good character. I don't know any Ghibli movie that isn't a good character, like doesn't have good characters. I feel like every single character from Ghibli movies, villain or not, I've loved. Villain or hero, like Ghibli characters are just really good. It's like I find that they have like a good kind of baseline. Even like the main, like the woman from Howl's Moving Castle, the witch, the dark witch. She was such a good character. She was so funny. Like even though she was the villain, right? You're supposed to hate her in the beginning. Oh my god, she's such a good character. Always good to have that sense of life within your poses. I've kind of gotten into a new technique with drawing legs as well. I think that's why I've gotten really excited about drawing new poses. This is just the new techniques that I've kind of picked up. From like other artists that I really admire. Thanks for joining, Drew. I don't know how I'm going to react to Howl ends up having nicer legs than Princess Mononoke. Howl is known for having the nicest Ghibli legs. That just kind of, it's kind of what he's known for, I find, like within the people who really love Ghibli. It's like they go like, oh yeah, Howl's legs, that's so good. Because like they find that it's like a really nice, easy thing to draw because they're like so thin and like elegant. Because Howl's meant to be a very elegant character. She isn't. She's meant to be very rough hewn and like very strong because she's lived within nature her whole life. Like at one point, like she's the daughter of the wolf god within the movie, but she doesn't believe, but she hates humans, right? She really does, right? Even though she is one, but she doesn't realize that, right? Because the wolf god, she adopted her. Howl is meant to be graceful. He's meant to be a very graceful character. She isn't. She's meant to be very strong. So I think I kind of want to bring that back within her anatomy. Bring back that strength. I think I like that about Ghibli too. A lot of the times the men were the very elegant, beautiful ones. We had a lot of elegant women as well, but they were very strong. I really like that too. Breaking those boundaries, breaking those norms. I love that for them. Because you had Haku, this character as well, very graceful, very swift. Who's a very swift, graceful character. It was often the women who were very rough-hewn. Very strong and edgy. I think she had a dagger, if I remember correctly. I'm not gonna look up a reference. I'm too lazy. I really want to get to Ponyo's dad. I didn't even think about that because I love his look. His design is really good. My favorite line from Ponyo is still like when Sosuke, the main boy, he goes like, he gets to kindergarten, he's like 5. He gets to kindergarten, he's like, this girl's there, hey Sosuke, you want to play? And he's like, no, I'm busy. And she's like, you're not busy, you're 5. I think that's a great line. She's Tarzan, but instead of monkey, it's wolf. Yeah, kinda. And she can speak English, or not English, but she can speak human tongue, and she's still very swift. It wasn't like, she wasn't like monkey brain like Tarzan was. It was more like, she's a very harsh character. I really liked her. Sorry, I don't know if I said it yet, but hello, M. Basil, welcome in. I believe I can only handle the Mononoke and Ponyo's dad, but we'll see what happens. Should I change this pose with my hand? Yeah, let's have it more like... Yeah, that's better. Okay. And I can just do the outfit on the spot. That's not hard. Alright. The mom from Ponyo is also very energetic. She ruled. I'll say that about every Ghibli character. I don't have any other opinions about Ghibli characters other than that they're really great. Both mothers from Ponyo, very great. Ponyo's mom, Sosuke's mom. I love Sosuke's mom. Lisa, you can't drive through the flood. Watch me. I think that's great. She was great. Ponyo's mom was beautiful, large sea goddess. Yeah, with the arrowhead dagger, for sure. I believe that is kind of what they were trying to mimic. Definitely. To kind of give her a very foresty vibe. It is definitely like the whole... Okay, the premise of Princess Mononoke is basically that there's a lot of these animal gods, and the industrialization from this one village is causing them to slowly die out. And the main protagonist, he has to find a way to make peace because it's affecting the rest of the villages around them as well, because the animal gods are very angry and it's causing like a lot of disruption within the environment. It's a really, really good movie. This one's very whimsical as well, but it's a little bit less happy. I find that Mononoke was quite an upsetting movie at points. Very beautiful, very cute. Well, not really cute. I find that Mononoke was a very harsh movie compared to Spirited Away or Ponyo. Ponyo was very whimsical, very cute, very fun. Because Ponyo was meant for a younger audience. Even Spirited Away, much more whimsical, much more cute. Mononoke, I think, was a lot more harsh. It was a lot more straightforward with its messaging. But yeah, great movie. Like, it had that whimsy there, but it was like a sad kind of whimsy, if that makes sense. It was kind of like watching, it really does have the energy of watching a forest die. I think that's kind of why Mononoke has a different energy compared to other Ghiblis. It's why it resonates differently within people, I think. Same with Nausicaa. Nausicaa kind of has the vibe of like a dying earth. Nausicaa almost made me cry. Nausicaa was really, really good. It's a really old movie. It was actually Ghibli's first, the very first like proper feature film. Nausicaa also kind of has that kind of air of sadness with it, which I think makes it really, really great. Compared to Mononoke, though, where they're within a dying world, Nausicaa is already a dead world, and then they're kind of looking back on that, which I think is like, again, harsh messaging, but it was very, very, very good. But you can tell that it's older. If you watch it, you can tell that it's an old movie. But don't let that stop you if you've never watched Nausicaa. What animal god would you pick if given the chance? I feel like the bear god would be very wise. There was, like the top god. I don't remember. It was like just the spirit of the forest or something. That guy was sick. I'd pledge to him 100%. It's a kind of bird god. You know what? Actually, that's the correct choice. Can't catch me if I'm up in the air. Easy. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I really like deer. I feel like I'd do a deer. Maybe that's not just because I like deer. Yeah, just because I like deer. I'd choose a deer. Though honestly, the wolf god is not a bad choice either. Moro. That was her name. If I remember correctly. Yeah, because Ghibli was great because it had like different vibes to each of their movies. Even though they all had that same air of whimsy, they all had that same like magical kind of vibe. It like some of them were harsher than others, some of them were sadder, some of them were happier, right? Howl's Moving Castle compared to Mononoke, very very different vibes, I think. Pompoko was very 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 whimsical. Even though it did kind of have that sad environmentalist vibe, it was really funny. It was a great movie. Same with The Cat Returns. um Grave of the Fireflies, it makes everybody cry. I haven't met somebody who said that Grave of the Fireflies didn't make them at least sad. I'm the type of person who doesn't cry at movies. I really don't. The only movies I've really cried at were A Dog's Journey and A Dog's Purpose because I don't want to watch dogs being sad. I feel like that's really upsetting. But yeah, Grave of the Fireflies made me very upset. It was a really sad movie. Um, Everybody knows that bird is the word. Bird up. You know, that's the good time. That's a good time. Yeah, Nausicaa made me really sad. That one, well, not sad, but it kind of made me like happy cry almost. I started choking up. That was a really good movie. I'll rely on color for her face paint because remember, you shouldn't. Depending on what you're drawing, you shouldn't rely on lining for everything. Sometimes you just gotta rely on the color, just so then it doesn't become too busy. So especially for the face paint, I'm gonna rely on the color compared to just lining them directly on her face. Oh, Hachi! Yeah, that's another sad movie. Oh, I couldn't finish it. It made me too sad. I was like, no, I can't watch this. Hachi would have absolutely made me cry if I finished it. But yeah, A Dog's Journey and A Dog's Purpose. A Dog's, which was the second one? I think it was A Dog's Journey was the second one. That one did me cry 3 times in that movie. Once in the first 15 minutes, once halfway through, and once at the very end. I don't cry at movies, but that one I cried real hard at. That one made me real sad. I was like, oh no. Dogs. Because dogs are just my weakness, bro. Like, how are you gonna not cry at dogs? Okay, let's see. Oh, I did this wrong. This should be closer to the bottom down here. Yeah. Make sure you're looking back and forth at your references so you know what exactly you're doing. It's always good to kind of look back and forth. What are the movies that made me cry? Not a lot of movies have made me cry. I remember watching a clip from a show. Hachi was very sad. Yeah, Hachi. Oh man, I couldn't finish it. It's a show. The Midnight Gospel. I know that that's an example of an adult cartoon that like every artist loved. They were like, this is a really good show. It's on Netflix. I still haven't watched it. Everybody tells me to because they're like, it's right up your alley, and I will eventually, I promise. But I saw a clip from it from the very last episode because I do know what the last episode's about. That made me cry. That made me ugly cry. Like, I mean, like, I watched the clip and that made me ugly cry. I didn't even have I didn't have full context. I had some of it though. That made me ugly cry. So I was like, I was done. When I watched that, I'm like, I need to watch this show. What? Maybe I'll watch it on reading week. I don't know. Man, that would hurt me. It was like, actually, you know what? I won't give it away just in case you want to watch it. But yeah, the Midnight Gospel is basically animation over top of a podcast. And it's like you can watch the animation and get one story, or you can listen to the podcast and get a different one because the audio doesn't really relate to the visual. So it's like you can get two separate stories depending on where you're paying attention. But yeah, the 10th episode is really, really sad, and I was like, I didn't get to watch it, especially if you know the context behind it. And it was like I watched it like a clip from it and made me cry really hard, like ugly cry. I had to go like sit down somewhere else. There's a Hachi statue somewhere in Japan. There is. It is a true story. Hachi is a very true story. Hachi is a story of a dog that waited for its owner. There is a statue in his memory, at the station that he waited. And you can visit it. Thanks for the recommendation of the Midnight Gospel, of course. Yeah, I've never watched it, but I've heard really good things. So like, I really want to. Including from my lovely boss and our studio director Faye, who told me to watch it. So I've been told to watch it quite a few times by both friends and coworkers. So I'm like, yeah, I should probably watch it. Oh, she's wearing boots. I didn't even need to draw the toes, bro. One day I will. Because that's one I actually do really want to watch. But I need to be in the right mindset. I need to, like, feel right, you know? Okay, yeah, we're on track for Ponyo's dead. 100%. So I can only get those two done. Excellent. Good timing, good timing. I love stylization of body parts. I find that like legs right now are my favorite thing to do. For a while back in high school, arms were my favorite thing to do. Arms and the torso. I still really love doing torsos, but is legs right now especially that are like really taking over my love of anatomy. It's just like there's something so fun about it. It's just the way the muscle structure works, I think, that I just really like. I'll rely on color for that. I'll just leave it there. Color isn't just like my grayscaling, but yeah. Hello, Flexology. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is not what her dagger looks like, but like I'm just gonna go with it because I'm too lazy to look up a reference. Witnessing Jessie's leg phase. It's okay. Every artist has different phases, I find. There's stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like, you'll get into, you'll get out of it, you know. Every artist has phases of their work, even his historical artists. That's why they're recorded and called their periods. You know, like Picasso had his blue period, it his rose period, whatever. You always got them phases. Well, now we call them phases. Sometimes it just ends up being what you're known for, you know? Again, if we kind of go back to Picasso, you know? Cubist. He's known for cubism. When he got into his cubist phase, everyone was like, yo, what? That's pretty epic. Okay. Can I wand this? Ooh, I can wand all the important parts. That's good. Because I don't really need to worry about some of them, but others I do. Oops. Every artist has something that they just enjoy drawing more than other things. It's kind of like the people who hate backgrounds, hate hands. I love hands and I love backgrounds. There's very little that I don't like to draw anymore, you know. But I had a phase of not liking backgrounds either. I was one of you. Now I've seen the light. Okay, this should be pretty dark as well. Actually, I think that one can be lightened a little bit. The hair, just a smidge. Yeah. And then the skirt is pretty dark. Okay. After this, I'm gonna, like, after I finish Mononoke, I'm gonna stand for a second, because I've been sitting for a while and I shouldn't be sitting for this long, so I need to stand up for a moment after this one. It's not good to sit for this long, especially not with a spine like mine. Alright, let's see here. This part over here was not selected, but I need to color this in anyway. And then she had sections on her arms as well. If I remember correctly, that's like the infection. Which was a part of the movie. Cool! I was wondering why some artists use gray to color first on their drawings. Great question. That's called value painting. Usually artists will add on, especially if they're painting first, they'll add on their values first before adding on color. And usually that just helps distinguish colors from one another. Right? In this case, I'm just keeping it monochromatic. I'm not going to add any color. Value painting is, especially if you're not great with identifying your lights and darks, which are your values, right? Usually artists will start by adding their values instead, and then add on the color later. Because then it helps with contrast, basically. Sometimes artists have a harder time figuring out contrast in their works, so they'll do a value painting first before actually adding on hue, which is important for some people. I've never really had to. I find that I am like pretty okay. I'm pretty decent at finding my values. But value painting is definitely like, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, some people just kind of add on the values first, and then they move on to the actual color. Oh, come on, there's no good full body of this guy. Oh, that sucks. There's only one where it covers his face, bro. That's not epic. I can't see his shoes. He don't got no shoes, dog. What? I know he has shoes, but like I can't see them. Fujimoto, that's his name. I didn't know that. I kept forgetting. He's so good. What a good character. It's just really funny. As I fervently search for a good reference. Because none of them are really excellent. You know what? I'll live with this one, and then I will look up another one later. Because I know what his body type is. Like, I can kind of live with that. I'll work with this for now. And then I may need to grab another one. Great character. I know that he's meant to be... He's the kind of the quote-unquote antagonist of Ponyo. I kind of like that about Ghibli as well. The line between villain and or antagonist and protagonist is very blurred a lot of the times, which I kind of like. No worries. Hello, Chris Sick. Welcome in. Or Seek? There's two eyes. Hello, Chris. Welcome in. That's easier. What a specimen. Who is this stud? This is Ponyo's dad, Fujimoto. Ponyo, the premise of Ponyo is that this little girl, she's like a mermaid, or like the princess of this ocean. And she's been trapped down like in the ocean for so long. She's like, I want to see what human life is like. So she comes up to see humans. But her dad is very opposed to that. This guy. Even though the whole story kind of revolves around Ponyo, Ponyo is not the main character. The main character is a kid. His name is... Oh no. Sosuke. Sosuke is like a 5-year-old boy, and he finds Ponyo, because Ponyo is like a goldfish. He finds Ponyo at the shore of the ocean. And he's like, whoa, goldfish, and like he kind of takes her in, and she turns into a girl, you know, Ghibli. Everybody kind of treats it casually. It's like, oh, she's a girl now, cool. Yeah, and then the whole movie is like the dad's kind of trying to find her. Ponyo kind of causes the apocalypse. It's pretty great. It's a good movie. And by the end, she has to make a choice, and it's either she can live as a human, she'll have to give up her powers, but she'll live as a human, or if or she can return to the ocean and keep her powers. So she chooses to stay, but the only way that she can stay is with true love. And, you know, Sosuke's like, yeah, I love her, and and she's able to stay. And it's like, his love is true. It's a great movie. This one's more of a whimsical one. This one's a little bit more fun. I believe because this one was aimed more at younger audiences, so it was kind of received a little bit differently compared to the more mature feeling of other Ghibli movies. But I love Ponyo. Ponyo was my first Ghibli, and I watched it a good maybe 3 or 4 times now. I still love Ponyo with like my whole heart. I actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I may have watched Ponyo the same amount as I've watched Howl's Moving Castle by now. So that means I think that I've watched them both. Those two, I think, are my second most watched Ghibli movies. So it's first is Spirited Away, and then it's Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo. I think are tied at like 4 watches, I think. Would definitely trade the human life to live in the ocean. It's just because Ponyo was so tired of it, because she was trapped in a bubble. And the whole thing was like the dad was prepping for the end of days, like to where the ocean would rise and like take over the entire world again, so that the ancient creatures could take over the earth again. It was really cool. I love watching the clips when because Ponyo accidentally causes that to happen. She makes the ocean levels rise like immediately, and like by accident. And And there's a lot of really, really cool animated scenes where you get to see, like, the entire Earth, and it's, like, or, like, the entire area, and it's, like, completely flooded, and there's just, like, all these ancient fish everywhere. It's really well animated. I never really noticed how much I loved, water animation until I watched Luca, actually. But I love water animation. I love fish. Yeah, great movie, great film. Again, it's one of the more childish, kind of whimsical Ghiblis, but I love Ponyo with my whole heart. It's got a special place in there. It's kind of similar to the plot of The Little Mermaid. Yeah, fairly similar. Except that this one feels a little bit less shallow, I think. This one, not to hate on The Little Mermaid, but this one feels a little bit less shallow. Because instead of her leaving the ocean just for a man, now she's leaving the ocean because she wants to be her own person. And she just ended up meeting Sosuke on the way. But that one was more of like a kind of cute. Kind of. I remember that apocalypse we were kind of prepping for. Well, she didn't know that she caused it. It was like, yeah. I don't want to explain the whole plot, but yeah, no, recommend it. 100% recommend it. I love this thing because like he has like a. This is the only other full body I could find of him. Was this? Let me grab it. Yeah, this. It's funny because like he comes onto the surface to try and find her. He does find the house that she's in, which is like, you know, Sosuke's house, with the mom Lisa, and he refuses to walk on the ground normally, so he walks with like this like water, like this hose on his back constantly, which like pumps seawater out constantly so that he doesn't have to walk on dry land. Even though he is a human, he's like I've given up the human life. I hate it up there. And then the mom is like this beautiful sea goddess. I kind of unintentionally made him a little bit big compared to the other characters that I've drawn in here. Oh well. It actually fills up the negative space nicely. What a hipster! Oh man, I remember when I was younger and you wanted to be a hipster. Now it's like the hipsters get made fun of so much. I'm like, I remember like wanting to be a hipster because it's like you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, they're so cool. They wear like plaid all the time and have a fun taste in music and I don't think I'm gonna draw the pack. I think I'm just gonna draw like him being antsy. Because he was kind of like that just throughout the whole movie. Just like a nervous wreck. You know what I really love? I really love Ghibli hands. Their hands are really good. Especially with character design, a lot of people don't realize how much you really need to make different between each character. It's down to like their hands, their fingers, you know. There's a lot of things you can make really different about a character, right? Because we kind of focus on the bodies a lot. But you know, there's a lot you can really use to distinguish characters from one another that aren't just like, you know, the facial structure or the hair or whatever, right? You can use a lot to really distinguish characters from each other. Hands are definitely difficult to do. In terms of distinguishing. Feet as well, that's another one that a lot of people don't really focus on, but it's the truth. You can use that to your advantage. From what I've heard on stream, Princess Mononoke seems like the coolest one from these. Maybe my boy Calcifer, Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is pretty whimsical. Yeah, it's like Mononoke again. It's just a little bit harsher. It's because all of the Ghibli's older movies tend to be a little bit harsher. Um, yeah, Haku. So Spirited Away is about. That's what Haku came from. Spirited Away is about a girl. She's moving to a new town. They find an abandoned amusement park, and the girl gets whisked away to a land of spirits and demons, and she has to find her way back home. Um, it's overall very whimsical. There's a lot of action, a lot of really good creature kind of demon designs. Um, Less harsh than Mononoke, but it's very beautiful. Like again, it's my personal favorite out of all of these. Um, yeah, Howl's Moving Castle. That one really really good as well. That one is about Sophie. She's the main character, and she is just a normal hat maker who lives a very normal life, but then she moves, or she has an encounter with Howl, which gets her involved in um, a lot of magical business. And a witch visits her and curses her to be an old lady. So then she goes to go and work for Howl, who she hopes can cure him. And eventually she ends up, as much as Howl cures her, she ends up curing him as well. It's a really, really good kind of dynamic. What else is on here that I haven't talked about? No, that's about it. That's what's on here that I have. It's like I've talked about all that's on here. But yeah, definitely Spirited Away is my favorite out of all of them. Definitely all awesome. Just depends on what you're looking for sure. Yeah, the best thing about Ghibli is that they show you stuff you've never seen before. 100%. It's like I wish I had the same kind of whimsical writing style as you can find in all Ghibli movies. Right, with my writing style. I'm a very big realist. I think it's like a lot of the time. I really love drama. I think that's just I have a very dramatic kind of writing style. Where I always kind of lean towards wanting to have drama with my characters. Drama with real world kind of aspects to it. But yeah, I wish I had the whimsy of a Ghibli writer. I don't have the brain for it. It's like it really takes like a fun mind that's still down to earth. I think that's like hard to find. It's something special. It's something special. And some people find it's some people just don't like, they can't appreciate it. And then like, you know what? That's okay. But I find that like, yeah, I'll never, I don't think I'll ever get to the level that Ghibli's at, you know? Like Miyazaki. The way that he's written these movies, it's just, it takes another kind of level of creativity. Causing the apocalypse because you want to see what the people on land are up to is pretty dramatic. Actually, what happens is she leaves. It's actually kind of, it is her. She does cause it, but it's kind of the dad's fault. What happens is like she leaves, like she gets out of the boat, which is kind of made of like the submarine, which is made of like magical bubble energy or whatever, and she kind of like cuts a hole out of bubble uh the bubble glass, and it overflows the inside of the boat. And there's the way that what causes the apocalypse is there's a little cauldron in the back of this room, and you have to kind of fill it up every once in a while or fill it with stuff. And once the cauldron's full, then it'll cause the apocalypse. And it's usually kept in this really tight, sealed room. But unfortunately, the dad he hasn't fixed the door in a while, and it's kind of loose. So when she causes the boat to flood, the room floods as well, which causes the cauldron to flood, which causes the big flood of the entire Earth. So it's kind of her fault, but it's also kind of the dad's fault. So, you know, but overall, nobody really points fingers. It's really just a kind of like, man, it happened. Oopsies. It's like, it happened. Whoops. Oh well. Guess it's here now. And that part of the movie never gets resolved. It leaves kind of open-ended. I think that's kind of fun. Maybe the Earth is just a giant ocean now. Who knows? Yeah, she's 5. The main characters are really, really young. Ponyo's 5, so's Kei's 5. Oops. That's why it's always good to turn down the opacity of your layers when they're not in use. That way, if you know that you're drawing on the wrong layer. I could have drawn on the sketch layer there, but I caught myself. Notice how I'm also turning off my sketch layer a lot. That's just to kind of check to see if my lines are okay. You always want to do that. That way that you're, when you draw for a while, you kind of turn off your sketch. You're like, oh man, it looks terrible, right? Avoid that just by turning your sketch on and off all the time. Helps. It helps kind of, you know, balance your workout. Imagine being 5 and seeing somebody turn a girl into an old hag. You're mixing up 2 movies. So, the main characters in Ponyo are 5 years old. The girl in Howl's Moving Castle is an adult. She gets turned into an old hag. Sophie's in her 20s, I believe. Ponyo was very, very whimsical. Very happy movie. That one's not very sad. Every single Ghibli has crying in it, but it's never like, sometimes it's just not as sad as other times. I love Ghibli tears. The big blobby Ghibli tears. I wish my tears looked like that. Maybe I'd cry more if my tears looked like that. Just to see the texture. I see. Yeah, you're mixing up 2 movies. Even when she gets turned into an old woman, it's kind of funny. It's like she kind of looks at herself in the mirror. Is like, "Who are you?" And she kind of walks away for a second. She's like, "I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming." And she looks back in the mirror. She's like, I'm gonna go to sleep." She's like, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go to sleep. Maybe. Yeah, the movies are all very different. They've all got like, it's kind of similar to Pixar, where it's like you can kind of watch it for the surface level stuff, but you can also watch it for the more kind of underlying themes that are there. Right, a lot of them have very environmental themes. It was something that Miyazaki was very passionate about, was to like be very environmental. He's a very big environmentalist, so a lot of Ghibli has a lot of those kind of environment themes. Ponyo's no different. Ponyo definitely has that kind of environmentalist, kind of like, man, where the oceans are rising and it's our fault kind of idea, right? Oh man, well, Howl's Moving Castle was based off of a book, so it didn't really have that harsh idea, but it did have a lot of like, opening your heart to people, being like, learning how to not be like, keep yourself under lock and key quite as much. There was a deeper meaning. I remember explaining it to somebody, and I don't remember what I said, but there is something real nice about Howl's Moving Castle as well, which you can like dig deeper further down. But if not, then it's a movie about a woman falling in love with a witch, who eventually he needs to get over himself. But and she teaches him how to love again. That's kind of it. Because a heart is a heavy burden. Yes, that's a line from the movie. I'm not going to be drawing these stripes, by the way. Absolutely not. That's not happening. I don't have the time. There's 10 minutes left. Or maybe I do. We'll see. I also can't find anything with his shoes, so I might just kind of keep it. I think he just has boots. I know that like if they don't have any specific shoes and it's just like black shoes. Oh, here, I found it. Yeah, it's just black shoes. I figured. You're doing a good job with this guy and the princess. The princess, you can see, she's tough, kind of angry. This guy's a bit nuts and kind of fidgety. Thank you. Yeah, he's a bit nuts. He's a bit got a couple screws loose, but it's okay. He's a he means well, but you know, even if you mean well, doesn't mean you make the right choices. So, you know, he does apologize in the end, which is, you know, kind of fun. But I think one of my favorite scenes in Ponyo, which is like not a lot of people think that this is their favorite scene, but this is mine, is kind of like when Sosuke and his mom Lisa. He calls her Lisa, he doesn't call her mom. They're waiting for their dad to come home because his dad's a fisherman. And the dad says, and they speak in Morse to each other, so they have like a little light on their balcony, and they can use Morse code to talk back and forth to each other using the lights. So Sosuke asks his dad through Morse code. It's like, hey, I thought you're, or no, he's like, the dad calls the house through the phone, and he can't make it home because they thought he would be coming home one night, and he can't make it home. He's going to be out at sea some more, so the mom is all angry about it, and so they go to Sosuke goes to the light. He's not mad about it, but Sosuke goes to the lights, and he starts talking to his dad, and the dad's like asks like how they are, right? And the son's like, mom's mad at you. And the dad says like, flashes back, he's like, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. And the mom takes over the flashlight for a bit. She calls him like stupid over and over and over. And Sosuke kind of looks at the lights that flash back. He's like, he says he loves you. And she goes like, she like yells back again. Calls him dumb again. I really like that scene. I don't know why. I think it's funny. Maybe it's funnier when you actually watch it, but I really like that scene. It's not a lot of people's favorites, but I think it's fine. That one, and like when they're on the little boat. Sosuke and Ponyo, they're on the little boat, and they travel on the boat to go find the mom. Because the boat is a toy boat that Ponyo made bigger so they could travel across the ocean, the faux ocean that flooded everywhere. Good movie. I recommend it. This one, Ponyo's just a fun time. It's not, you don't need to think about it too much, but it's like, it's just a fun time. Because I think this one, Ponyo was meant for, I've said it like a bajillion times at this point, but it was meant for a younger audience. So it wasn't really a really big thinker, I suppose. But man, I love it. It is definitely one of my favorites. Just aesthetically, it's really pretty. Thematically, it's really cute. Making sure my values aren't too intrusive. But they do still have to be there. Maybe I will add the stripes. Yeah, I got 6 minutes. Why not? I'll do it. He says he loves you. It's too late for that, basically. Ghibli artists are a whole other level. Yeah, it's true. It's like, even with the thing with the older Ghibli movies as well is like, currently they have a team of 60, I believe. Back then they didn't have that. So it was like a good, like maybe like 30, less than 30 artists on the whole thing. And it's all hand drawn, right? Cell animation, which is just like they draw individual elements on clear sheets of plastic, which is like crazy, right? Which means that they're doing it all by hand, no computer, right? They put it into the computer afterwards, maybe do some After Effects, but it's never like anything. They don't draw it on the computer, they draw it by hand with paint. And I think that's crazy. I could never I would never do that to myself. watch me do it. But like I not my current state. Absolutely not. But yeah, a whole other level. I could never. Yeah, so many good scenes. The food is always so delicious. That ramen in Ponyo. Oh, do you know how badly I want that bacon from Howl's Moving Castle? Oh my god. I've actually had, you know what? I've had thick bacon before because they okay. If you've never watched a Ghibli movie before, if anything, watch it for the food. If you're gonna watch a Ghibli movie, you wait until food pops up, and then you're like, what? It's like you sit there and you're like, I wish I had that right now, right? And one of the things that I always wanted was that thick bacon from Howl's Moving Castle, and I had it at a steakhouse in Ottawa, and I was like, yo, this is good. It's like I had it with like honey maple or something. It was like, oh man, killer. I loved it. I was like, I'll eat that all the time. Yeah, thick cut bacon because it's thick cut bacon and then fresh like sunny side up eggs, and you kind of watch it being cooked with the help of calcifer. Ugh, so good. Yeah, that ramen and ponyo, absolutely delicious looking. I wish. What else can I think of? Oh, Spirited Away, just the pork buns. They had pork buns. It wasn't anything really fancy, but it looked really good. Oh no, do you know what? I lied. At the food stands in the beginning, I have no clue what they were eating, but that meat looks really tender. Studio Ghibli, but it looks like Jimmy Neutron. Absolutely not. No thanks. I too would cry, M. Basil. I believe I too would cry. Not in the good way. Okay, we're almost done here. Almost. We've almost got the end here. I will say, by the way, still extremely excited over the Nintendo Direct. It has taken everything out of me to not talk about it as much as I really want to. Um, because I am like I was vibrating in my seat yesterday. I was so excited. I was like, that Kirby trailer came on. I started screaming. I was like, are you? It they unlocked the Z axis. No Kirby game ever has the Z axis. It's always X or Y. X and Y for most like main Kirby games. And then like now we have the Z axis. I'm like, yo, excuse moi. It's like finally, it's like kind of like half open world. It's kind of like Odyssey, Mario Odyssey. The way that they set it up, I was so excited. I was like, are you kidding me? So happy about that. You only fear what you can't understand. Who's being bitter now? I mean, I'm not being bitter. I'm being a realist. Okay. It's been bothering me. I don't want her shoes to be like completely left alone because it is a really light kind of beige. I'll just kind of fix that real quick. That is the truth, though. You only fear what you can't understand. That's where all the not epic stuff comes from. That's where conflict brews from. It's misunderstanding. Though that's a topic that I don't believe I will cover within the Ghibli stream. What are we doing next week? I don't 100% remember. Is it a... Are we doing a principal stream next week? I don't 100% remember. I'll figure it out. No, 2, which is like big and shiny. Oh, her eyes, bruh. Really forgot. And this, which I should probably make a light kind of color as well, because it's green. I could have added some light shading onto all of them, but I'm like, I don't really want to. It's okay. I can just kind of leave it flat. Gives it a bit of slight cohesion that way. Maybe I'll leave some. Maybe I'll add some light stuff. Unity and harmony? Okay, thank you. Give us some highlights. Okay, we're almost done. I know it's 6, but just give me a second. Now I've added the highlights. Now I want to add them in. Just to make the hair a little bit shiny. Alright, y'all. That's going to do it for this stream, though. Thank you so much for joining. Again, if you did not know, we're not just an art we're not just a YouTube channel, we're also an art studio and art school. So be sure to check out the classes that we offer. I am one of the instructors, including a few or actually a lot of others. There are a lot of classes that are currently going on. I am currently teaching digital art, advanced digital art, advanced cartooning and anime, and I believe Art Mentorship is starting out as well. So be sure to check out those classes. You can get mentorship from all of the instructors, the lovely lineup that we have. This file that you see in front of you will be available as a JPEG on our Discords if you'd like to check out the Discord. That is with the links that Daria is posting. It is also in the description. Be sure to join it there. Keep it saved or do whatever you want with it. Just don't repost it. It's all yours. But if you'd like my working files, this one doesn't really have a lot of layers, but I have a lot of other files on there that do have a lot of layers, and you're going to have to check them out on our Patreon. For as little as $5 a month there, you can support the channel and also get my working files and behind-the-scenes content. Behind-the-scenes content can also be accessed at $2, but $5 is when you start to get access to our working files. But like I mentioned, we are going to be doing Unity and Harmony, or as lovely Daria figured out, we are going to be doing Unity and Harmony next week. So we're going to be doing a Principles of Design lesson. And now that I am back in university, now I have a more extensive knowledge about it. So be sure to join that for a more university kind of level stuff. But don't worry, it's not tough. I'm going to try and simplify it down. Thank you for trying to dad. Literally looks amazing. No worries, I had fun. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye!